Hi, Pastor David Tart, sometimes known as Poppy to some perhaps who are listening to this. Anyway, today I want to tell you about a story that involves oars. This is called a paddle, by the way. This is what you use when you paddle a canoe or a kayak or something small. But when you have a boat, you have to really use oars. What are oars? Oars are something you row the boat with. You may have sung that song, Row, row, row your boat. Well, that's what this story is all about, rowing a boat. Because you see, the friends of Jesus were with him one day, the disciples, that's what they're called. And Jesus turns to them and says, I want you to row the boat to the other side of the lake, and I'll meet you there. The disciples said, well, that's what Jesus wants us to do, so I think we're going to do it. So they got into the boat and they started rowing the boat across the lake. And they were going along when all of a sudden it started getting windy, really windy. And soon there were clouds everywhere and thunder and rain, and they were far from the land on the water. And they became very scared. I'm sure you know what that feeling is like, scared, when things seem really strange and different and dangerous, and you worry about getting hurt or becoming lost. Yeah, it's normal to be afraid. It's normal to be scared. We all do that. Your mom, your dad, your grandparents, your brother, your sister, everybody, your friends, everybody gets scared. And we also can become discouraged. Discouraged means that you think you just can't do it. It's too hard. I'm sure you feel that way sometimes, don't you? Especially when it comes to your schoolwork and learning new things. It can become you can become very discouraged. Just like your mom and your dad, they can become discouraged too. But this is where the story really gets interesting. Because those disciples are out there in their boat and it's hard and they're discouraged and they're afraid. When all of a sudden they look up and Jesus is walking on the water to them. Can you believe that? It's kind of a strange thing to believe, isn't it? That Jesus can walk on water. But then again, he was God's son, wasn't he? So he comes to them and he says something I want you to remember, something we all need to remember. He said, do not be afraid, it is I. Because you see, whenever we get afraid or we get discouraged, we can remember that Jesus is with us. That no matter how hard life gets, no matter how hard things, that we know how hard things are, we know that Jesus is right there with us and he will give us the courage and the way to get through it. That's what's so important, to have courage in your life, to try new things, to not give up easily, to keep thinking that yes, with the help of Jesus, I think I can do just about anything. And even if things don't work out like I want, I still know Jesus is with me, and Jesus will get me through it. It's important to remember, because there are going to be times when you're going to need to remember that. To remember Jesus and his words, do not be afraid. It is I. You're not alone. So the next time you see some oars or you see a rowboat or sing that song, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, think about those disciples. Think about the great lesson they learned about how Jesus is always with them and that no matter how hard things get, Jesus will get us through it. All right, y'all be sure to do the little lesson plan, little lesson sheet that I gave you, and so you can learn the story better and practice that courage. Practice being calm when the storms of life, hard times happen. Love you, and we will see you later.